Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right, we're live. Yay! Let's talk. Let's take off our shirts and talk.
Yep. Yes. I got to get that series started up again.
So are you still in, you're still in Barcelona?
Yep. I'm still in Barcelona for another 10 days about. So
wow.
I'll be back home. Then and then in September I've got I've got one travel to Vegas and then one to Orlando. So and I'm done with travel for a while, I think. One is for the Thrive conference. There, I went there last year. That was when the shooting happened last year. And then the other one is for FinCon. I'm going to be speaking at FinCon. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I got to put together my talk.
I did an episode of My JavaScript Story with Kevin Griffin. He's one of the guys on Two Frugal Dudes podcast. And he mentioned that he's an avid listener of this show, so he'll be happy to hear that you're there. You should meet up with him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I know Kevin. I've spoken with him a few times, I think. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it should be fun. It'll be an interesting conference, financial conference. So.
Yeah, I think they've had a booth at the last couple of podcast movements, trying to get people to go to FinCon. So.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how that all works, but
we'll see. But what have you been up to?
Well, lots of stuff. So last week basically went like this. I got super stressed, then I got depressed, and then I felt better.
Yep.
And then I got sick.
Yeah. Just when you're ready to get back into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, overall, I think I'm feeling a lot better about things. It's funny how this kind of goes in stages, and I'm not sure necessarily if, I mean, I've blamed some of it on just grief, but I don't know how much of it's tied to that and how much of that is just maybe it just made me question some things, and so it kind of tied into that more than that I needed to get over some grief stuff. So but yeah, anyway, overall I've really been feeling pretty good about things, getting back into it. And I got a whole bunch of stuff done last week, even though I kind of had some off days and stuff. So all in all, it's been good. One of the big things that I did was I got a whole bunch of automation set up in Zappier for the podcast.
Yep.
So basically what I did is, because it was so funny, and this is one of the reasons why I really like having Michelle work for me, is initially I said, hey, can you email people every week and remind them that they're coming on next week? And she's like, well, can't you automate that? And I thought about it, and I was like, probably. So instead of paying her to do it every week, I actually set up a Zap in Zappier. And so what it does is it goes and it looks at the calendar and finds the episode for next week. And then it pulls the guest email off of there and emails them and says,
perfect.
Hey, you're on for next week. Please forward this to all, any of your people. Here's a Google Doc where you can put information for us to prep for your episode. And anyway, I think that'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But yeah, so that happens every week. So I got those emails went out this week, or last week automatically. And I had a problem with like two of them where it was sending out the episode that we had just recorded instead of the episode that we were going to record. So I fixed those, but that took me like 10 minutes. So anyway, so I'm paying Zappier to do that instead of her, which is a lot cheaper for me, but it also works out because then she can do stuff that really matters.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
automatable.
exactly. No, that's
So,
good.
and she kind of pushes me back on that stuff. So, and it's good that she does. So, because yeah, it forced me to think about it and go, oh, I might be able to do that. So,
Yeah. Yep. No,
so
that's
yeah,
good. Anytime you've got someone that basically doesn't want to do useless tasks,
yeah,
like, can't you automate that? That's good. That's someone that you that you can rely on because they're actually using their brain.
yep,
So instead of just saying okay and then just getting paid and realizing that they don't need to be doing this.
yeah. And
That's
then
good.
I also just talked to her, and we're moving off of UpWork. So I'm just going to pay her
Really?
once a
Okay.
month,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm just going to pay her a salary every month.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Cool. Well, that's good that you've got someone that's definitely working out for you.
Yeah,
So,
it's about time.
yeah. It's hard. Hiring is like the hardest part for sure.
Well, I kind of lucked into
And
Mandy, and honestly, I
yeah.
think I could have turned that situation. I was pretty naive about the way that I handled her, to be honest. And I don't know if I would have learned what needed to change without screwing it up. But
Yeah.
I think in the long run, where I am now is I'm going to be much better off for it than if I had, just given in and given Mandy whatever she wanted. So
Yeah. No, for sure. And the price was too high. You had to
yeah.
figure out how to actually do this and make it work. Yeah. So
Well,
otherwise, and she was doing too much too. Like
yeah.
the thing was, it was like she was, she was alleviating you the responsibility from knowing exactly what's going on and creating the systems necessary to run your business. Now you have the absolute control of it. You've automated the things that can be automated. Like, there's a lot, I think, that good that came from that, and you understand the pieces and components, and you can hire those out
Yep.
separately. Like, I think your whole business, like your system of your business, has moved along, and I feel like even if you had figured out the whole thing with her and kept her on, you would be behind. Like, if she left someday, you would be in a worse situation. Whereas now, like, if you lose someone today, you're fine. Like,
Yeah.
you know exactly what needs to be done. You've got so much of it automated. Like, it forced you to go through the pain that you needed to grow the actual mature the business. So
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of issues there, and you kind of hit a lot of them. One of them was, yeah, I mean, if she got hit by a bus, I'd have been screwed. And I mean, she left, and I was kind of in the same position, so I had to kind of scramble to figure it out, make it up, the parts of it that she had just kind of figured out on her own. But yeah, I mean, I really do need to be in control of the processes and understand how things work, even if I'm not doing it day to day. And
right, exactly.
if I hire somebody, this is the other thing that I'm realizing is that even if I hire somebody and I don't understand the processes, if they are documenting them, then I can,
Right.
when I bring somebody else in, I can go review those, make sure that it's still what I want, right? And then, kind of go from there. But mostly at this point, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start telling Michelle and anyone else that I hire, these are the results that we need, right? As opposed to this is the process for getting this done. In other words, get these results and document your process.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So,
and I think we talked about this a long time ago.
We did.
On an EntreProgrammer episode. I was talking about the idea of soldiers and generals, right? It's like you have to understand that someone's a soldier or a general. Like a soldier, you just give them orders. The general, you say, I want you to take this fortress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they decide how they're going to do it. And so
Yeah.
some people are, there's some jobs are good for soldiers too, right? I mean,
Yep.
like transcription, like graphic design. Well, graphic design could be either, but there's definitely manual kind of type of tasks where soldiers, you just want them to follow, just do it like this. Take the meat from the freezer, put it on the fucking truck. Like, you don't want them thinking about that, right? Whereas, the generals have to be able to come up with the process.
Yep. Well, and that was part of the beef with Mandy, was just that she wouldn't document the processes because she was afraid that she was going to lose business because of it. And I'm sorry, but the more that I've done that, the more I'm realizing that that is kind of a critical thing that you need in your business. So, yeah. I mean,
you don't want
if it's core to your business, right? So if it's, if it is kind of I mean, even if it's like social media strategy, I wouldn't necessarily need to understand everything they're doing. I would like to have it documented, but I don't have to be on top of it, as long as I'm getting the results. But when it's how my business runs, I need those processes in place, and I need to have them under my control so that I can make them better.
And I think a lot of it too just comes down to the difference too, right? If someone's working for you or if they're providing a service for you, like it's a different thing. Like I was just reading Grant Cardone put out a book on real estate investment that was really good. And he was talking about only buying 16 unit or higher properties, which I haven't done, but I understand why he was saying that. He was saying because then you hire someone that manages the property and they live on site or they manage that property. They're the property manager for that property, as opposed to using a property management company. And when I think about that, like I have property management companies that manage my properties, right? I can't tell them how to do their job. I don't tell them what the system is, what the process is. I can like fire them, right? Hire them. I can complain, right? That's like my recourse, right? Whereas if I have a building that is mine, that is enough units that I hire specifically a person that works for me as the manager of that property, I'm gonna they have to tell me the process. They have to tell them don't do this, do this, right? They're under my employment or under I'm or they're a contractor or whatever. But I think that's the big difference too. And I think that's the same thing. That's what you had encountered a little bit with Mandy too, because she was kind of like a service. She was running her own business, even though you were her like 90% client. It was like, no, this is so you didn't have that control. Whereas now it's like these people work for you, so you have control completely. And that's what I think for the most part you need that I mean, it depends on what it is, right? I think there's pros and cons, but understanding the difference between that, I think is critical for sure.
Yeah. But the other thing
I think the best people that,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, I think the best like service, like just like if I were to run a service-based business, I think the best way to do that is to blend it. So where you work with the client to develop the process, like you have your own internal process, but you conform to their process of what they want to happen on their end. And I think that, I mean, you can see that where people do that and where they don't. Like we got for Simple Programmer running the blog, Elisa and her team, they have their own internal process, but the process that we do for our blog is one that we developed with them, right? That they so they're like needing it both ways, right? They have their own system and their own company, but at the same time, they're not saying, okay, this is how we do things. They're saying, this is how would you like us to do things? And then they develop the system on their side to handle, that. Yeah. So I think that's the best way to handle for if you're a service oriented company.
Yeah, but that's not your whole business, right? The blog is just one aspect of things. And as long as you're getting the results you want, you keep paying for it. So
right.
Anyway, it's definitely an interesting thing. But yeah, the other thing that's been nice about Michelle is that she's totally willing to document stuff. She's totally willing to ask me questions, and she makes sure that she gets me what I want. And so, it all kind of just, I mean, I don't want to be the bottleneck, but it does set things up. And the other thing is she's also pushed me in a couple of other areas. So she's, one of them was, well, we're using like 6 different services to do all this stuff. Why don't we have it all in one system? And so recently we've been moving everything over to Notion.so.
Oh, okay.
It basically has like a spreadsheet deal, but on the spreadsheet, you can actually change the view so that it looks like a Trello board based on the status column.
Okay.
And so we have our task list in there, but you can also create documents kind of like a wiki, but it's a WYSIWYG editor, so it's not hard for anyone to figure out. You don't have to use Markdown or anything. And we have topic boards for all the shows. We all of the stuff is in there, and we've been moving. So the sponsorship and shows pipeline for guests, that's all been moved. That's moving over from PipeDrive to a database or spreadsheet on Notion. And then at the same time, we've also got like the sponsorship pipeline is all moved over. And so, slowly but surely we're moving that stuff into Notion, and I'm going to wind up saving, because Schedule once cost me $100 and something bucks every month. So we're looking at moving that to Google Calendar, and then PipeDrive costs like $40 a month. And by moving all that off, I save that money too. And so we're consolidating a lot of this stuff and making sure that the processes are solid so that people just know what to do and all that stuff. And she's starting to do the prospecting now for sponsorships. So her job is to find 10 new sponsors every week. So she found 10 sponsors, and she's like, okay, so I got that much done. Now all I have to do is find their email addresses and send them the emails. And so for me, all I have to do is say, oh, this is the template I've been using, to email people. And then she can just take it over from there, right? And I just let her know, hey, look, your job is essentially to get them on a sales call with me. And so you can do follow up every week and things like that until they say, leave me alone, or until, they schedule a call. But anyway, so so that's
that's good. Yeah, I mean, it's not even really the saving of the money on the services that matters that much, because it's really not going to make that much on your bottom line, but just the consolidation of having everything and knowing where it is, and the efficiency, I think, is the thing that matters. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is I also set up, so Notion, you can invite guests to pages on your setup. Otherwise, you have to pay for the membership. But you can invite guests, and the guests are all free. And so I invited all of my co-hosts as guests on the co-host section that I have under there. And so it basically says, hey, look, and then I wrote, I hate to call it a job role, but that's basically what it was. And so it was like, hey, you have to be around at least 2/3 of the time. And, you should spend, some time prepping for the episodes, and you need to contribute to the topic ideas, and, it's just stuff like that. And then it had links for all that stuff. It has a process for recording a podcast episode. It has a place for all of them to put in their intros for the starts of the show. So when I start shows now, I'm going to start saying, hey, on our panel, we have so-and-so who's a blah, blah, blah at whatever company, or, whatever they want to say, open source contributor and speaker or whatever, so author of whatever. So, so that'll go in there. But that just allows me to kind of level up all this stuff. And then I'm going to go back to Freelancer's Show, iFreaks, and React Native Radio, which I don't currently, host or run, and ask them if they want, if they want in on all the stuff that I'm building out for the rest of this.
Yeah, you should definitely try to get, because if you have everything on there, then you've got the more that you do this. Like, the thing I like about what you're doing with this is that it's not like you just have one podcast, right? And you're like micro optimizing it, because you have the network, right? Because you make it so that like that value multiplies across all your podcasts. And then as you bring on a new podcast, right, you've got like it reduces the amount of work required to run it. So it's definitely a worthwhile investment.
Well, the other thing is like I want to start a Python show, but I have zero experience with Python. But I get a lot of requests for it. Even though there are other Python shows out there, I think there's still plenty of room. And so, if I go find people that would do well on a Python show, I basically can just add them to that system and then onboard them through a process for a new podcast. And then from there, it's like, look, here, now you have everything you need. And so I don't have to babysit it anymore. We just have to have a couple of people who are invested enough to keep the thing rolling. And and it's like, hey, look, you're on the same system as everybody else. And so if you need help, Michelle can help you out with it. Or, if push comes to shove, I can help you out with it. And we can just be on top of all this stuff. And so, the more that I can get this so that it's just kind of a well understood and well managed process, the better off we are, because then it makes it really easy to expand the network without my having to be directly involved with the new shows. And so then I can go find sponsors and things like that, and just automate a lot of the rest of the information that we have to gather and all the information we have to put out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So so that's kind of what I've been pushing on lately. And then I'm also working on I need to update the automation for social sharing. But I can automate out to like Twitter and Facebook, but I can't automate out to like Reddit or special like for Ruby there's rubyflow.com, and JavaScript there's javascript.com, that have places where you can post, you can share articles and stuff on there, and I want to make sure those are going on there. And some of the newsletters.
Well, you could definitely you could look to see if there is some library or some code out there that does that. I would imagine for Reddit there's probably or the other option too is just to either program it yourself or hire someone to program an automation to do that, because it shouldn't be that difficult to do. And you might not even need to just like directly program it. Like you could probably use like a scripting, like you could probably use something like Selenium or something to just automate it through a web browser, which would make it pretty damn eeasy.
That's true. I probably could. Yeah. I mean, even if I pull out, Ruby has a couple of web crawler drivers that, they can fill in forms and stuff like that. So I could just, write a little script that, and then just set up a little instance that will post it.
Yeah. You could even or you could just have someone manually that you hire that does this, or someone that's working for you.
Yeah, I've thought about putting it, seeing if I can get an intern or something that work for $10 an hour or something. And so they just kind of do all the promotion stuff for the podcasts, if they're if they're going to one of the local universities for like marketing or something. And so if they really wanted to, they could sit down and figure out like a promotion/marketing plan and manage that part of things. And then if they get really good at it, they can also then turn around and do some of that for the products as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'd actually like to do something like that. Get someone who is, like you're saying, like an intern working for marketing to kind of, I've been thinking about, I've been doing a lot of Instagram stuff lately on the Bulldog Mindset account. And I think it's a really interesting platform. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, but there's so much that you need to kind of produce on that platform. And I've been thinking about a strategy of doing, and I've been kind of doing this. I've been doing a YouTube video during the day, and then I'll take an Instagram picture and I'll write up text for the Instagram picture. That's kind of the meaning of what I talked about in the YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do little stories throughout the day. But it'd be nice to have someone, I'd like to have this kind of overall strategy where, and I think someone was telling me Gary Vee does this, which is he does an hour of long form content every day, I think, and then they chop it up, right? So I think there's maybe a podcast episode is the whole hour, and then he has someone that is taking it and making these bites, maybe 5 bites that go out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these things, and then maybe they're managing the stories for him on Instagram, but I'd like to have someone that kind of does that, where basically, if you think about it, the ultimate leverage is if you can produce one piece of content And then you've got someone else that can do the marketing, that can basically chop it up and put it on the different mediums, and and basically make all the little sound bites out of it, so that you're getting all that. So
yeah, well, I'm kind of planning on doing the same thing for like Ruby rants and Angular rants and JavaScript rants, and I haven't pulled those off yet. But yeah, I basically want to do essentially an hour show, and it has 5 segments based on the 5, whatever stories or topics I'm going to hit, and tackle it that way. And I want to record it all in one go, and then just have somebody break it up, and okay, here's the video for this one, here's the video for that one, here's the video for that one, and so you can then you basically I think what I do is on YouTube I'd have basically 2 playlists, and one would be like if you want the full weekly show, and then the other one would be the segments. And so if you want to pick and choose your segments, because those would be focused on a particular topic. So it'd be like Ruby rants for for the week of blah blah blah, and then but I'm definitely so I've also in my team meetings with Michelle, we're setting up I had like 10 or 12 things that I wanted to get done, and I just realized that I was just giving up on it before I ever started. And so now I have 3 things. I have 3 things this week on that list, right? And so I've got to get those done, and one of those is starting those shows. The other one is getting basically about a quarter to a third of the book done. I put in 10,000 words is what my goal is this week.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to sit down and just crank it out, and really it's on the rough draft, right? And then what was the other one? I think it had to do with mailing lists or something. But anyway, so I have those 3 things, and I have to get those done first, right? If I get them all done today, then I can work on some of the other stuff. But those are the things. So
no, that's good. That's a good way to do it. And if you make those like the must things, they have to get done, then you're more likely to succeed at getting them done.
Yeah. Well, then what it does is it allows me to focus on sort of the long-term, the short long-term, like 12-week time horizon. It's like, okay, I'm doing the things that are going to get me to those goals. And then and then I can, okay, what was kind of the next thing that I needed to do on those particular goals, on those things? Because otherwise I wind up all over the place, and I kind of make progress on everything, but I don't actually get anything done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been chomping at the bit to actually like start getting to some serious work. It's too hard to work while traveling. I mean, I'm doing videos and stuff, but I can't get any serious work done.
Yeah,
just difficult. Especially like if I was traveling by myself, then I could. But when you're traveling with family and stuff, it's just hard. Like I get a little bit of stuff done, but I'm ready to get back into the and just like plow. But so I'm.
So when you get back in, what are you working on? Because it seems like Josh is kind of taking the reins, at least on the emails and most of Simple Programmer.
Yeah, I mean, what I really want to do is like get the Bulldog Mindset brand stabilized and ready. So I want to get the website. I've got the website sort of up, but I want to get it up, solid with a good design and graphics, and get a logo for Bulldog Mindset, and then have a decent opt-in for it. So then I can start doing, I'll keep doing videos, but I can have them, people directing to the opt-in, and I can start building that email list. So that's kind of like number 1. And then I'm trying to decide, like I want to write the book, the Bulldog Mindset book. So I'm torn between either working on creating the video course for the Complete Software Developer Career Guide for Simple Programmers. Simple Programmer could use a little bit of help, I think, and that might be what's needed, or just working on the Bulldog Mindset book at this point. So I think I might, like, once I get the Bulldog Mindset stuff stabilized how I want, so that then it can just run smooth, then I can just do videos and start growing the list in the business. Then I think I might focus on doing the complete software developer career guide video course, and so that we could do a launch with that. Because I have a feeling like if we did that course, and it shouldn't be very difficult for me to do, but I feel like we could launch that and do, probably like a 200 to 300K launch on it, because it'd be very popular product, right? It's directly relevant to our audience. Like, we haven't done a big launch on a new product like that in a very long time. So with our list size of like almost 100, or about 100,000 right now, I feel like we could probably do like at least a 6-figure launch.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I mean, is Bulldog Mindset going to be part of the Simple Programmer collection of products, or is it going to kind of be its own thing?
No, it's kind of its own thing. It's basically my personal brand at this point. I wanted to like pull out of being the face of Simple Programmer, so I can focus on the personal development side of it. And so that's kind of and then we'll see what happens. Like, I think that's one of those things where I don't know, Josh and I have talked about potentially in the future, he might come on the Bulldog Mindset as well and become a partner in that. We'll see what happens or not. It just depends on what he wants to do and what's happening with Simple Programmer. Right now he's running Simple Programmer, but I feel like we need to get that up to 100K a month business. The revenue is like 50K a month, I think, on average right now, like 40 to 50. But I feel like it should be hitting around that 100K mark.
Right.
So, and I think we can get there. Just our growth, it's funny, our growth curve, like we hit this plateau, like it kind of stagnated now. So it's we've got to figure out what to do. So I feel like once we're there, then it's a little bit easier. Like, we could both kind of walk away from it more so and just and focus on something else. But until we're there, we're kind of on shakier ground. Like, we don't have enough clearance, right? Because we pay ourselves salaries and we do some of the profit sharing, but I'd like to have like a pretty big buffer so that we know that it's gonna, we're not gonna have problems with it going down. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's tough though, because a lot of people still want me to do like programming content and whatnot, but I don't know. I'm not really doing coding, so it's like I'm too far removed from it. It's not really where my interest lies right now. So yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's something that I run into too, where most of my time is spent on building content. And so it's not spent on programming like people generally, my audience is. And so, I mean, I kind of go back and forth because I really enjoy programming and I really enjoy sharing it with people. But that's not an area of personal growth for me at this point. And so I'm spending my time getting more out of other things. And so I kind of go back and forth as far as, okay, so what should my role be here? Because, I mean, my stories are just getting older and older, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. It's like, I kind of think of it sometimes like, if you own a pizza joint, do you have to love pizza?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't have to love pizza. Like, you can be the business operator of chain of pizza joints, right? Like, you can love the business aspect of it. So it's kind of, though, if you're making the pizza every day, you kind of got to love making pizza, right? So, and that's kind of where we're kind of going, like both you and I with our businesses, is it's like, we're no longer making the pizza. Like, and for you, it's like, you don't really, like, if you're on the podcast and you're making every single podcast episode, then you're making the pizza. Then you kind of got to love the pizza because you're talking about the pizza, right? So, but as you're like yourself, like, you don't have to be on the episodes. Like, I mean, you can be on some of them, but basically, like, if you have other people that are programmers, they're on them. Then your job is to like run the business, and then it's not an issue. Where it becomes the issue, I think, again, and that's where the whole personal brand thing comes into play. It's like with Simple Programmer and my stuff, like I'm creating content. That's what I like to do, is create content. And so if I'm creating content and I'm not doing programming, none of my content is programming related. So I can't be the content creator for that business, but I want to create content. So that's why I had to pull off my own brand. That's my personal brand, where I can create the content that I'm interested in. And you might find the same thing, is that you might find that, I don't know, like, the content that you want to create is not programming related, not related to your audience anymore. And so maybe you start your own podcast and your own personal brand. Like we have this podcast that is about running the business, or about podcasting in general, or about, the thing that you're that you're interested in, or some other topic that you want, if you want to be the content creator. But that's kind of the struggle, I think, is like, you can't maintain the role of content creator and run the business forever.
Yeah, I've thought seriously about doing a podcast on podcasting. I think I would really enjoy that, and I could lead people directly to PodWrench with it, and so it would have a payoff. So yeah, and similar to your Bulldog Mindset, right? It's something that you're passionate about, and something that you can go work on. But I feel like at the same time, I kind of need to get the systems in place for DevChat.tv. But I guess then I go back to, well, if it's a podcast about podcasting and I'm working on systems for the podcasts, I could just talk about that every week. So
it depends on, I think there's a balance. It's like, you've got to have enough of it automated so that you have enough time so that you can grow this new business.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is like, so when you reach that scale point, like I was saying with Simple Programmer, like I didn't want to, like I had to kind of have Josh take over before I was going to like start this new brand, because I can't, like, I won't have the bandwidth to do it, to be able to do it well. So.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I've also thought about, okay, well, I need to find more help, but my income's kind of hit or miss sometimes. And I don't want to bring somebody on just to not be able to pay them. Like I had a sponsor, and usually about half the time on this show, I call them out by name. But since I'm talking about them paying late, I'm not going to call them out by name. But I had a sponsor that they're late, and I emailed them and said, hey, what's the deal? And they basically said, oh, well, I never got your invoices, so I never submitted them. And so I went and looked in QuickBooks, because QuickBooks will tell you if they looked at the invoice, and they looked at them the day after I sent them.
Yeah.
And so I emailed back and said, hey, what's the deal? And he said, well, I'll resubmit them, but they have to go through the process to get paid, and that process takes a few weeks. So I'm sitting here in a cash crunch, and so I don't want to bring somebody in and then go, oh well, the people that I do this to already, they've been pretty good about it. And I have on the time horizon, I have another podcast payment that will put me in a position where I'm spending money I made last month or the month before this month to get things by. So, I've got people that I've worked with long enough that I have a good enough working relationship with, that they kind of understand this scenario, and I still feel bad about it. But, and I also feel like, I've communicated well enough to them that, hey, this isn't going to be happening forever. It's just, anyway. So, yeah. And I don't really want to bring on a partner, because, I mean, you and Josh had a really good relationship before you went to a partnership, and you kind of knew what you were in for. And I don't have anybody that's really in that kind of a position that I would want to go into a partnership with.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. What Josh and I do, right, with Simple Programmers for budgeting, right? Like we have basically a rule that we have a $50K reserve at any time in the bank account. So
that's what
basically,
I'd like to
like,
get to.
yes, just you come up with that reserve number, and that's your like war chest, and no one gets paid unless that reserve is met. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to build it up, but you should, what we do now is like every quarter we look at and we see how much above 50K are we, and that's what we pay ourselves out. We split that up. So that's a good way to do it, because then it's like there's no cash crunch. Like, we never have to deal with
Right.
cash crunch. Like, we can always pay our bills, and there's never any issue, because the worst we would do is dip into that 50K, but then we'll just replenish it. So
Right.
it definitely, like, anytime that you ever waste with crunch issues, right, is complete inefficiency in your business. It's just a waste of time. It doesn't benefit you anything. So
it is.
It's worth having some money out of circulation in order to but you're essentially buying efficiency by having a reserve. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you guys pay yourselves like a monthly salary and then you do the 50K, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we do a monthly salary for each of us. We do like 8K a month salary, and then every 3 months, quarter, we look at
Then you do a
the
bonus.
bank balance, and everything above it, is a bonus, is paid as a withdrawal or whatever.
Okay.
Share owners withdraw. So so that's basically how we do it.
No, I like it. I think that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, I mean, the amounts of money that we're talking about here, I could easily get, I think, to $20,000 reserve, and that honestly would cover 2 or 3 months without my salary.
Yeah.
Probably a month and a half to 2 months, including my salary. And so so that would work out then, and I could just make sure that I have at least that much in reserve going forward. Because I'd love to get to the point where I have like 3-4 months reserve in there, and then if somebody pays late, it's not a big deal, and everybody gets paid and we're all happy, and then I'm the one that takes it in the in the jaw when the money comes in, if I wasn't smart. So,
and then the nice thing about having that cash reserve too is it's also like your war chest. So the other reason why we do it is because if we want to buy something expensive, we could do that. Like, or if we wanted to buy someone out, like we had, let's say an opportunity came along to buy some website for $25,000, we can just plunk down the cash and we've got it. And so the opportunities. So I think
that's true.
It's definitely worth it. Having cash on hand is good.
Yeah, and I'd love to have get to the point where it's basically 50K in the bank for the business, another 50K in the bank for in my personal savings, and then we're just then if something hits the fan, it's just no big deal. But we'll get there. I'm getting smarter about this stuff. Unfortunately, nobody teaches you this stuff. It's funny because they talk about high school and college being there to prep you for life. Yeah, well, if that's what they're there for, they suck. Both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway. So, are you working on the Bulldog Mindset book at this point, or are you mostly just building the book?
I was before I left for on this trip. So I mean I'm making videos still, right? So I'm doing that part of it, and I'm working on the Instagram part of it, which has kind of been fun because it's something that I was really not into Instagram, but I'm kind of having fun doing that. I'm not using Instagram in the right way because I'm writing these big text after the picture, but I don't know, I'm adding my own style to it. So so in that way I'm working on it, but I haven't, like, I don't know, I want to sit down and just like get up early in the morning and just spend go into super hard work mode, right, and just focus on getting shit done. So it's good because I kind of had that like little bit of like, I'm sure now on what I want. You know what I mean? Like I've been having this crisis for the last maybe like 3 or 4 years of like, oh, am I wasting my life by like not enjoying being retired, and like should I just be like doing nothing and like playing video games or like whatever. And I finally come to the conclusion that no, like I love busting my ass and working hard and like getting shit done, and that's what I'm gonna do forever. So like that's been good. Like, so this whole thing has kind of taught me that. And as I'm here, traveling, I'm ready to go. And so that's good. I think it's a good thing it takes a lot of time to figure that out though. Right. But that's it. That's life. So
Awesome.
I was going to say, we're actually growing in the sponsorship side of Simple Programmer more than anywhere else right now.
Nice. So how are you reaching out to people, or are they finding you, or how is that working out?
They're just finding us. We're not doing any kind of outbound. They're just finding us and asking for sponsorship. So we just keep on raising the rates. So yeah, we'll see. I still have to break off the YouTube channel from the main Simple Programmer business. Right now, that's still kind of conjoined. So that's part of like building up the Bulldog Mindset. But
makes sense.
And I think the book is going to be the big thing. That's like for Bulldog Mindset, like everything is going to be kind of based around the book. That's going to be kind of the core thing. I'm actually trying to start working on, right before I left, I started working on the book proposal for the book, because I'm going to try and get this one traditionally published through a big 5 publisher. So that's what I have to do in order before I can start writing the book.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be cool to write like a mainstream book that's not directly not programming related. Although it's pretty arguable that my other books have been very little programming related. I mean, I guess Career Guide is more so, but still, yeah. But yeah, I just heard back from Manny. I guess he's at a war room meeting, so he's like, he's gone for the week.
Right. Yeah. Well, I kind of know what I'm going to be working on going forward, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm also curious about how you all did your book launch. I mean, I paid for this self-publishing school, and they talk about how to do a launch, but I'm also curious to see what you guys did and see if there's anything else that I should be doing with that, because I would like to put the book up on Amazon and things like that, and just self-publish it that way. Mostly though, I want the book out there so that it'll drive people to the what do you call it, to the video course. And
okay, yeah.
So I'm not going to make it super expensive. I'm just going to, I'm going to put it out there. It's going to cost, what I think its value is, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we can definitely, you should actually talk to Josh. We should have a meeting when Josh, all 3 of us talk about, like, when you're ready to launch the book, about some things, because maybe we can help you with the book launch. Maybe we can figure out some kind of, because we're actually looking at, I forgot to mention this, I was just having this discussion with Josh, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but we're gonna be publishing, we're gonna probably be going into the publisher model here. We've already got an author lined up to write a book, and we're going to probably try to do more of those, because it's kind of interesting. Like, there's really I would say that we could actually compete with the major publishers in the tech industry, because we can place books higher in Amazon than they can. Right. I mean, we've got that ability. Like, there's really no one that can even touch us as far as that. Like, we're good at book launches. So So I think if we started getting, imagine if we had like 20 books and we're like just dominating, like, we could actually become like a major player in the tech book space, especially, kind of soft skills type of books, like a soft skills publisher, basically. So yeah, but yeah, there's definitely a lot to it. I think that the major publishers don't have the agility to accomplish, right? I mean, with the book launch, the big thing is email list, making people aware of it, right? Like concentrating the forces for launch day to have everyone be buying, right? To drop the price, to not try and sell a book for $20 on Kindle. Like, yes, it will sell, but you're not going to sell as many copies, and it's all about ranking, right? It's about coordinating people to leave positive reviews when they buy the book, right? That makes a huge difference,
right.
I mean, you look at, like, even right now, like, if you look at Complete Software Developer's Career Guide, on that I've got like 400 and let me see what it is right now, but it's like 424 reviews with an average of 4.7 stars.
Right.
And if you look at like if you look at the other books that are competing in software development space, right? Like Self Programmer has 172 and its average rating is 4.2. And you look at like even books like Code, Charles Petzel, right? I mean, how long has Code been around, right? It has 405 reviews, so it has less. We've got 424. You look at Clean Code, right? By Bob Martin, right? It's got 4.2 out of 5 stars, 444 reviews. So it's got 20 more reviews than we have. And how long has that book been out? So those things make a huge difference. I think is getting that, coordinating the effort, making the price the correct price, especially for a launch, and then optimizing afterwards, right? Running the ads on Amazon to actually so few tech publishers, or none of them are running ads, like ridiculous. Like they're just leaving money on the table, and then constantly driving traffic to the book. So
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to be setting up a group that they get the book probably for free if they'll leave a review when it launches.
Well, and the thing to do, like, I think better than free is, well, like what we did with Complete Software Developer Career Guide, what we did is we said, okay, look, here's the thing. We'll give you a free kind of advanced copy. Like it's not the final copy of the book, right? We still have some editing and stuff. And we give that to them like a week or 2 weeks ahead of time so they can read it before a launch day. But then we say, okay, look, on launch day, the book is going to be 99 cents on Kindle.
Right.
Just buy it. Buy it so that you can leave a verified review, right? And then bought the book. It's 99 cents. Like, come on, right? So if you're being part of this, I think you can afford 99 cents or $1.99. And so, and that's really what you should do, like with launching a book anyway, is you should price it low, right? That's like, because getting up in the rankings is really important. It's more important than, you're going to make more money in the long run by doing that. So that's how you do it. And then you just ask them to leave a review and then the thing about that is the reviews will be verified reviews. So like, because they'll be, purchaser reviews. So that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I just went and looked at like software development, which is, I think my categories in Amazon are going to be pretty similar to Complete Software Developers Career Guide. But yeah, I mean, just looking, the top placed one is the Self-Taught Programmer, the Definitive Guide. And yeah, they have 4 stars and 172 reviews. And then like the rest of these, there's one that's got like 28 reviews. Oh, there's one here that has 405. But it's interesting how, I don't know. I'm wondering how easy it is to really bump some of these off. And I think also that like the traditionally published ones are I think those ones, unless they're like on a hot topic like microservices or their long time out there books, it's tricky, I think, for because they don't have people in there specializing in owning this space.
Well, and you think about it, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but like my book, it outsells Code by Charles Petzold. It outsells Clean Code. It outsells Mythical Man Month, Code Complete. I mean, this is like, so you can, it's definitely there. Like, it's definitely possible to like, to do this if you're doing it right. And it's because these book publishers, like, I mean, look at the domain-driven design, $54 for the Kindle version. Really?
I know, right?
Like, that's why they can't compete, because they don't have the agility to, to price things properly. We found the optimal price for Complete Software Developers Career Guide, $4.99. That's why, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should talk. We should have a meeting because we should talk about, like, what is your goal for the book? Like, are you trying to make money? Are you trying to drive traffic? Are you trying to build awareness? Like, what is the main thing that you want out of it? And it might be worth, like, I don't know, we've talked to Josh, but it might be worth having Simple Programmer publish the book, put our brand behind it, advertise it to our audience, do all that kind of stuff, and then figure out some kind of, depending on what you want to do, right? Like, if you want to just like build as much traffic and rank the book as high as possible, get as many readers, I think that would be a good synergy, because we're looking to get some good books under our publishing wing to start this process. So I don't know, we could talk and we could see if we could work something out that if it would make sense. But
yeah, I'm also curious a little bit. I mean, what did you write this in, and how did you get it formatted the way that you did?
I wrote it in Google Docs. One document per chapter, just folders. So nothing complicated. So I wrote both of my books basically.
Yeah.
And then the formatting, again, that's something that we're good at now. It's like we have book formatters that we hire out that we pay to make a print for it. The print layout is actually the most expensive if you want it done well. But we pay for the Kindle one, did the cover on 99 Designs, and and then I record the audio version, and we know how to publish the audiobook now. We've gone through that whole experience. So but one thing I'll tell you as you're in the process of writing the book is don't write more than about 200 pages. Try to keep it on, like, Complete Software Developers Career Guide is 800 pages. I would not do that again. Like hindsight now, I would have made that 3 books, or maybe 4 books. Originally, I was thinking about doing that, but I didn't choose that option because I wanted to make the complete, and wanted to be like this tome, and I felt like we could charge a premium price for it, which we could if we're selling to our audience. But in the Amazon marketplace, it's really hard to indicate that this is a big freaking 800-page book that's a tome that's worth this much money, right? And the drawbacks of having a book that long are, first of all, the first drawback is that it takes forever to write. It's a lot of work. It takes forever to edit. It costs more money to format it. Everything costs more money. It's multiplied by the pages. Like, you don't even think about this. It's a lot. And then the second thing is that when you try to do a print version of the book, you can't make it price. You can't price it right. So like the reason why we're selling Complete Software Developers Career Guide at $25 is because we only make like a couple of bucks on that. At that, because that's what it costs to print it, like to print on demand. And even if we do print runs, it's still not cost effective. But if it were 200 pages, we could probably sell it for like $8 or $9, and and have it printed for $5 or $6. So we could make the same profit margin on it, but or same like dollars per sale, but we'd sell probably 10 times more. So because Amazon is extremely price sensitive. So I'd say keep it nice and short. If you're going to write, if you have more to write, make it multiple books, a series or something like that. But yeah, that'll make everything work better.
Yep. Sounds good.
But yeah, let me know when you get close to it, like to book completion. We should have a meeting with Josh and discuss and see if there's if it makes sense to try to work out some kind of agreement on it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one thing I think we could probably do is like dominate that space. I'd like to see Simple Programmer become like the soft skills book publisher in the market and publishing, maybe we have like 10, 20 books that we've published that we're taking the top spots on all of Amazon. That would be pretty awesome. So
yep, makes sense. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to weigh out, and I know you're not pushing me to make any kind of decision here soon, but I'm still trying to weigh my options as far as, do I want to do the launch myself? Or yeah, I mean, if I hand it off, if I get, a good chunk of a much bigger pie.
Yeah.
The other thing is that then I can expand my audience from your audience, and you all get paid for that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's I have to talk to Josh about that too. That's another benefit we need to be selling, is that we expand the audience of the person that launches the book.
Yep.
So
anyway,
yeah, and like I said, it all depends on what your primary goal is, right? Like if you want to reach, then working something with us where we do the launch is probably going to be your best option, because we'll have a longer reach than anyone as far as book publishing. But if it's to have a high price book and make as much money as possible per sale that you're selling to your audience, then no, then that's not going to be it's effective, because we're gonna launch the book at 99 cents. We're gonna we're gonna do what's gonna get you the reach, not necessarily the most money.
Yep.
In the long run, I think that strategy generates the most money though, because we sell a couple thousand copies of Complete Software Developer Career Guide every month. So
yep. Cool. Well, I kind of need to get running. We've been talking for a while, but yeah, definitely something to think about. I just have to figure out what I want, and then whether or not I think you guys can get it for me. That's what that comes down to, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, when you get close, then we'll set up a meeting or something. So
cool.
All right. Should we do our thoughts?
Yeah, we should.
Week.
So I have some terrible advice for my thought.
Okay.
So I'm going to mention a book that I read, and I love this book, and I think it's got terrific advice in it. But my thought that was kind of triggered by it, I think people need to be pretty self-aware when it comes down to it. So the book is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And he basically, it's like 7 lessons. And anyway, the book is terrific. And essentially it's this guy loses his job. And then anyway, he winds up having this experience where he basically travels through time and meets historical figures that each provide him with a lesson that he has to learn.
Cool.
And anyway, one of the lessons was the buck stops here, and that's the first lesson. And he travels back. I'm not going to spoil any of the rest of it, because I think it's more fun to discover who he's talking to and where they're at and all that stuff. But anyway, the person that he gets this lesson from is somebody who's involved in a fairly pivotal decision in history. And you find that most of these people are. But anyway, so the buck stops here, and he just talks about how it doesn't matter if you're tired, it doesn't matter if you're whatever, it's the buck stops here, it stops with you. And the thing that really came out of it, one of the things that was mentioned, I think it was in that life lesson, it wasn't in one of the other ones, but it was, even if I'm exhausted, the outcome is still my fault or in my control.
Yeah.
And so even if I'm exhausted, I need to keep pushing. Now, the reason that I hesitate a little bit with that is that sometimes you need downtime. Okay. So don't go crazy with this. But at the same time, I mean, lately I've been dealing with kind of the depression stuff and the sad stuff and the I don't feel good stuff. And I realized that even if I don't feel like doing whatever it is that I need to get done, I still need to get it done. And so part of my, 3 things this week came out of that. It was, look, even if I'm exhausted, do these things, right? And then if you need downtime, go get an hour's downtime. And then if you still don't feel like doing it, well, you got the downtime. It didn't change your situation. So get after it again. And, honestly, just taking that approach to a lot of this stuff, I've actually felt better. So I'm like, I don't feel like doing anything. Okay, well, I got to get one of these things done. And so I get in and I start doing the one thing, right? And after a couple hours, I really get into it. And then by the time I'm done, I not only don't feel like I did before, where I didn't feel like doing things, but I feel good because I actually got something done. And, don't work yourself to death, but at the same time, if I go have a nap for 2 hours and I come back in the same situation that I was in before, I'm a little better rested, but I basically wasted 2 hours, right? And so,
energy doesn't carry forward.
Right. If I go take a 30-minute power nap and come back feeling much better, that was worth it. But, if I'm just going because I just, I want to close my eyes and shut the world out because sometimes things are hard, it just doesn't solve anything. And so I've found that, essentially the buck stops here. Even if you're exhausted, if it's something that's got to be done, then just make that your one thing and go for it. And you may find that it pulls you out of whatever other funk you're in. So anyway, hopefully that helps somebody out.
Yeah, that's so true. It's kind of interesting. That whole thing is like, sometimes I think of it, I would say nobody fucking cares. Like, and it's true. Like, sometimes it helps to know that, like, whatever is happening, like, you had a hard day, you had a hard life, you're hungry, you're tired, no one else actually fucking cares. Like, no one cares. Like, it doesn't matter. They just want the result. They just want the day. So it's like, you've got perfectly good excuses, and they're valid excuses, but it still doesn't make the thing happen, like, that you need to have happen. And so, like, I just had the same, like, experience last week. I was supposed to do a 10-mile run, and I woke up feeling sick, like, actually, like, felt like I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's not going to like, I'm not going to get the result. So I just went outside and I'm like, I'm going to run as far as I can run. Right. Mm-hmm. And then that's like, because no one cares. No one cares that I'm not feeling it. Like, the world doesn't care. Like, it's sad, but it's true. Like, no one cares about your problem except for you. Like, you're the one who cares. So if you want the result, you got to take the action. So, but I ended up making it a 10 because, I just ended up doing it. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, you don't feel like it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, the buck stops here. Do you want the result? Then, you're not going to get sympathy. You can't have sympathy and the result. You choose one.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that came out of some of the thinking about this was that for a while, for most of my career, actually, including into self-employed and running the podcasts and being a freelancer and all this stuff, I was basically on autopilot and things just kind of worked out. And I'm a little bit shocked, honestly, at how far things went. I mean, I was doing all the right things, but I didn't really take responsibility for the outcome, if that makes sense. And so I'm surprised at how far I got, not even, really taking responsibility for it. And now that I'm looking at it and going, I can feel crappy and go to bed, but that outcome's up to me. And so if I don't go to bed and I get stuff done, then how much further ahead can I get? And if I take responsibility for the good results, then I need to, if I do the work that I know I should and take responsibility for that, then why shouldn't I be able to get extraordinary results?
Exactly. Yep. Totally agree. Yeah. That's the mindset that we always get, that we have to have.
Yeah.
Right? Because we also forget that, like, working hard is the best way to get out of the funk.
Yeah.
It's the least thing that you want to do, but it's the only thing that will make you feel good about yourself again. So mine is kind of similar thought. It's basically this. I got a couple of questions from different people kind of relate to the same topic, which is that my thought is pain is good. Love pain. Why? Because pain is the one thing like that tells you that you're alive more than anything else in this life. And pain is the thing that brings you back and closest to reality more than anything else. When it doesn't matter what you're thinking about or how lost you are daydreaming, when you stub your toe, you fucking get into reality. Like you are in the present moment then. Like it takes you to the now. And so it's like pain is also like it tells us that we have the capacity to care and to in depth to us, right? So the more that we can have the capacity to feel and experience pain, the more that we know that we're actually alive and living life, and have the capacity, on the other hand, to care and see this full spectrum. I think of it as like so many people want to avoid pain, and what they do is they basically switch their television set to black and white. And so yes, you can avoid pain by not seeing everything in color, but life is so much more dull when it's in black and white. If you want the full spectrum of color TV and HD TV, one of those channels is going to be the pain channel. And so you can't get that unless you can't get the rest of the channels and the rest of the colors and the full spectrum unless you're willing to accept the pain channel. So pain is growth. Pain is good. Pain is the thing that connects you to life and makes you feel alive and know that you are, right? So I think that's something that people forget. And so there you have it.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of the motivations for people to make their situation better or to make the changes that they need to make is because of pain. Mm-hmm. And so it's not just hey, I'm aware of where I'm at and I'm aware that it sucks and I'm aware that I care, but it's also it's an inspiration a lot of times for, okay, what needs to be fixed here so that it doesn't suck anymore.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess on this Friday we'll see who joins us.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you in about 4 days then.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good week.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek.